Okay, so I was actually surprised that the authors didn't include a more elaborate treatment of the transition process, and I thought we really should spend some time considering the challenges related to presidential transitions. Um, Changes of executive leadership in any country, in any type of regimes, are always a time of tremendous vulnerability. I would call this a window of vulnerability. In monarchies and other authoritarian countries, these kinds of transitions of power are often, resolved with civil wars. So the fact that we do it so consistently and so often, of course, given that, the United States has mandated a transition every 8 years pretty much due to the ratification of the 22nd Amendment. The United States is essentially exposed every 4 to 8 years to the vulnerability that naturally attends these transitions from an outgoing, lamest of ducks presidents to an incoming president-elect. Another daunting prospect confronting an aspiring president is the sheer size of the federal government. That is why transitions often begin well before a candidate has ever secured the nomination. Of course, the more time you spend planning to become president, the greater the likelihood the media will catch on to it and accuse the aspiring candidate of measuring the White House drapes, which is a euphemism for counting one's chickens before they're hatched. This is something that John McCain, accused Barack Obama of doing during the 2008 election. But the reality is that kind of planning is absolutely essential. Part of the reason an aspiring president has to get going early is that the process of staffing the executive branch is just incredibly labor intensive. The Congressional Research Office estimates that there are 1,200 to 1,400 Senate confirmed positions, and presidents have to identify people that A, have a comparable skill set to a particular job, shares the president's worldview, B, C, actually wants the job, and D, can survive a federal audit and the vetting process. The vetting and interviewing that goes on and the form filling out that goes on, and that's the stuff you've got to give to the person and that they have to then fill out. It's really time consuming. So part of demonstrating as a candidate that you deserve to be president is how you handle the planning for a transition. There's certainly more to consider when thinking about presidential transitions, but one other factor is really important. Getting the right people in the right positions facilitates sound presidential decision making. Looking at the turnover at this current administration raises serious questions about the soundness of the 2016 transition. To what extent are Trump's difficulties related to staff? And to what degree is this just a function of the man? Something to think about.